Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not So Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Snowpiercer. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Obviously, still dealing with like the aftermath of the last episode. There's that interesting thing with obviously we get like Melanie's, monologue kind of at the beginning. I thought was kind of interesting. The whole conversation about like obviously like. We already know that things aren't the way Melanie wanted things to be on Snowpiercer. She was thinking that maybe she'd keep up this facade or whatever for, a certain period of time until she's able to completely claw away everything that is, Wilfred. Basically, she wants to kind of take what he had built and until eventually there was nothing left of it and she could basically put aside that facade that kind of like revealed, the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, essentially, It's kind of that type of situation, but it's just obviously things going the way that it has, the train called for sacrifice. It called for blood, so she fed the train, and now she's like, it's on them, and now she's getting prepared for her execution. There's even a guy there that's like, Melanie's asking a dude his name, and it's like, well, didn't ask for our name while she was running in a train, but still. And the interesting thing is, she was literally seconds away from getting executed. What they call ice slung. I guess that's their most humane way of executing people. Because, like, obviously, the punishment is, like, losing an arm and stuff like that. But I guess, like, for this, they just freeze your insides until, like, you die from it. But I guess, like I said, that's the most humane way. The interesting thing is, there was even a dude that she was like, please, don't do this. And he's like, just take one deep breath and it'll be over quicker. So it's like, he felt sympathetic for her. I wonder, would you give that option to literally anyone else? Was it just specifically Melanie that you gave that advice to, So... Because at the same time, everything kind of uptrain is the situation of like, okay, so it's all about figuring out the power vacuum. More so than anything, Nolan and Ruth are focusing on that. The Folgers are like, we literally have to deal with this uprising before we deal with anything else. Because if we don't take care of this now, we don't nip this in the bud, it's just going to be a continuous thing anyway. On the other side of things, obviously, Andre's dealing with, the ramifications of just like, they've been down this route before with their revolutions, but things have just gotten super bloody. And it's exactly what Pike had said. Like, the fact is that Andre kind of doesn't have the stomach for it. Like, for him, it's like, he's that little girl coming up, have you seen my brother? And it's like, yeah, your brother's gone, he's with your mom. So it's just like staring that little girl in the face to tell her the family you've known is completely gone. Obviously, he's avoiding Zara like the plague, and Audrey's looking and she knows what's up. So... because eventually Pike shows up and he's like, all right, I'm getting what I'm getting out of this deal. But at the end of the day, they're willing to gas the entire train. They're willing to kill Tailies, Third, like whoever they need to kill. If they have to kill everyone, they will. Which even Andre's like, they're not stupid enough to do that. This is their workforce they'd be killing. And that was the whole conversation. Even Javi was like, we can't kill everyone. What about the workforce? This train needs a workforce. But it's like, the Folgers are just like, are like, no, we'll train more people. So it's like, which I think obviously on their part, it's them being so short-sighted, trying to get like a quick resolution right now will eventually screw you over in the future. But it's like, because obviously Javi is like majorly against like anything they're doing. Kind of goes with the flow for a little bit. We'll get to that soon enough. So with this option on the table, it's either Andre surrenders and he dies, or everyone will, because he's like, are you really willing to take the chance that these people won't kill everyone just to prove a point? So Andre kind of brings this up to Audrey and Bess, and it's like, well, you can't, because even if you do, that doesn't guarantee that they're going to stop there. Eventually they're going to come after all of us anyway. And even Till being like, you can't surrender, because the fact of the matter is so many people believe in you. I believe in you, because if you fall back now after because him giving up now would also mean giving up on all the people that sacrifice themselves to get to where you are now. Josie, for example, that was the whole reason for this too, is like for all the people that aren't here, all those we've lost along the way, And Audrey had suggested he talk to, Zara, and it's like, she's like, what happened with Josie? It's not what I wanted to happen, but obviously I'm going to have to live with that every day of my life. But she's like, I had to make that sacrifice for our baby. And Andre touches her stomach, and it's just like, that's got to be the most conflicting like situation, because it's like you're pissed at her because it's like the person you care about, the person that's been your right hand and all of this is gone because of her, but at the same time it's like it's because it's for your baby. And so it's like for him it's like to make sure that, you know, his child has a chance, like, you know, even if things don't work out now, that at least his child will live long enough to have a life, you know, to kind of carry potentially. Now, whether this is just permanently deading this once and for all, because I think if you stop this here, there is no second chances. This is as far as you get, because going forward, they're going to keep an extra eye on you to make sure you never get another opportunity like this. So, I mean, plus things would probably get even worse for all the tail and the third going forward, just because it'd be like, oh, you tried, remember that revolution you tried? Yeah, you thought things were bad before, oh, things are going to get 10 times worse. So it's kind of like, but for Andre, it's like, you know, he kind of backs out and is willing, you know, he ends up telling Pike that he's taking the deal. At the same time, you know, Melanie ends up getting saved by Javi and Jinju. So it's like, okay, but it's like, you go hide up train. She's like, I got a plan. And so she's going to the back of the train. It's like, what is she up to? And so she gets back there and she wants to talk to Andre. It's like, basically she's come up with a plan, because for her, it's like, she's abandoning first and second. It's like, it's lost. The Folgers are in control. Like, there's nothing she can do to kind of wrestle that from them. So it's like, she has no other choice but, you know. So I was like, all right, so we're going to have to go about this a different way. So for her, she's basically suggesting that basically they get them in a particular portion of the train, disconnect that part of the train, moving on to a different track, and then reconnect the train. So they're going to need help pulling this off. So Bess goes to Roach, which he's like, he wants nothing to do with all this at first. But then, you know, it's just kind of like, for Bess, it's kind of like, do this, don't do this for me, don't do this for them, do it because it's the right thing, do it for your lunch meat. He's like, it's a travesty that this gets called lunch meat, and just kind of like, he's just like reluctantly has to do it. So he's like, so, you know, what happens if we don't kind of do this within a certain time frame? She's like, that basically the other car will, starve to death and the other will freeze. And he's like, okay, good. I just wanted someone to finally say it out loud so we can realize how stupid this plan is, but let's go forward with it, you know? So, once again, it's like the enemy of my enemy is my friend. But then again, I forgot what it was. I remember that from, it's like, the enemy of my enemy is just another person waiting to stab me in my back. I forgot what that's from. It's like a movie or a TV show. I can't remember what it's from. But it's kind of that situation. Because even, you know, Melanie being like, you can call me whatever you want to. Call me a monster, call me this and that. Like, the fact of the matter is fine. But she's like, my way of running the train didn't work. So let's see if your way will, you know, the train is yours, Leighton. So, you know, we'll see what happens. So they go through their plan, obviously, you know, the Folgers in particular kind of had to make a spectacle of this. It's like, oh, handing him a cloth, and he's like, seriously? They're like, yeah, we got to make, so they're taking photos and stuff like that, because LJ had suggested they go here, because if they don't take part in all of this, that means Ruth and Nolan will be there, and because they're looking at this as an opportunity to bide for power, because like someone needs to fill that vacuum, because obviously the Folgers want to, but you know, Nolan's like, Ruth, like, we're the ones that's really gonna like really get power, and then like the Folgers are gonna be kind of put back in their place. So everyone's kind of biting for like trying to get to the top of the, you know, this whole situation. Obviously you have like Bennett being super pissed at Miles, because he finds out Miles is the one responsible for everything. Even at one point yelling at him and basically saying, don't say anything or touch anything, or I'll basically slice you in a little bits. It's like, that's actually effed up, but it's like understandable, because literally because of Miles, everything has fallen apart, you know, so it's understandable why he feel the way he did. I mean, still kind of effed up for you to say that. More so than anything, I don't think he would have actually done it. I think he was just saying that just to threaten Miles, just because he was just so frustrated. But when it's all said and done, the plan is being enacted. They are on the time crunch, and obviously, like, Andre like signs like, you know, the deal and everything, and obviously he's being taken off to be executed. You know, Nolan lead them away, and it's so interesting because it's like, you know, all his other men get their blows in. He's like, all right, do you want your chance while I'm handcuffed? He's like, oh, you know, I'll get my shot soon enough, and you'll know when it hits you. But him and Roach managed to get away. I mean, granted, I was actually scared in that moment when Roach had the gun because I was like, oh, no one's going to take it from me and shoot you. Please don't. But it's like, luckily it didn't turn into that, but things still got pretty bad. But luckily, Murray came in, what was it, Strong Boy, and the other dude, and luckily they came through and had Andre's back. But it's like, all right, get Roach. He's one of us. Get him out of, like, get him off of this part of the train and go. Andre's going to his part where he's supposed to be, but the problem with that is he sees there's all those other people. I didn't even think about it until later on when he's like, because Melanie didn't say anything to him. She didn't tell him ahead of time because, you know, it's kind of a spur of the moment. He's like on the time limit. It's like, what he's going to do? It's like, is he going to separate the train with all those people there? People that believe in you, people from Third and the Tail who fall. Like, are you willing to just cast them aside? So, but he does try to save them, but there's no time. There's no key. So like, what are you going to do? Are you, you know, so it's like, I was like, what are you going to do? And it seems like at the end of the day, he ends up leaving them behind. He separates the train. It's like, that sucks. There's no winning in that because it's like, if he didn't take this opportunity, then they lose what they had going for them. This is the kind of the one shot, and it's like sacrificing them for the greater good. I mean, that's what this whole thing's about. But it's one thing for them to die in battle. It's another for you to be directly responsible because him pulling that lever is just as much as him kind of, you know, killing them. It's exactly him killing them himself. And obviously, when it was all said and done, like, obviously, on the other, you know, when the train gets separated, like, they're holding on to each other, kind of praying, like, I think they understand, but it still doesn't make it any easier. And even if they did understand, I'm sure they're still pissed. Like, I think it's like, this is what was necessary. Like, whatever Andre's doing is for the greater good. It's hard to say whether they 100% accept, because that's going to be a slow, like, painful thing. It's like, obviously, one side is going to, like, once again, freeze, another side, you know, starve out, either or. I mean, either one will come first. I'm assuming the freezing would come first, but nevertheless, like, but when the time comes and he comes back to Melanie, she's like, yes, because it was at the end of the day, it was going to be your choice. So it's the thing of kind of like, it's the position she had to be in. Sometimes you have to make the hard choices, and she was like, she's had to make plenty of hard choices, and she's like, now the train is yours, Andre. Like, you know. Once again, heavy is the head that wears a crown, so it's like she knew it would have to be his choice at the end of the day. What he did, what happened to them was 100% up to Andre, and it's like, regardless if she told him or not, it still was going to end that way. But at least maybe he would have been able to prepare a little bit more. I think more so than anything, it's supposed to show him like it's not that easy being the head honcho of the train. Like, she's almost probably like relieved a little bit because it's like, now I don't have to be the one to carry that burden. No one wants to be the one to carry that burden, you know? So there's that. There's a whole thing with the Folgers being like, oh my God, LJ's by herself. Which part of me thinks like, did LJ like plan that? Like, no way she knew what they were up to. So it's like, but I guess she just wanted to get away from her parents or what? Like, what's up with that? What's going to happen? Like, I doubt she's going to be too sad about it. I mean, who knows? LJ's a weirdo, so you never know like 100% of how she'll react to that. I'm sure she'll be like, huh, interesting, like thinking about what will end up happening to her parents. But yeah, it's very complicated mess of a situation where it's just like, I'm curious also, like, you know, those, once again, those are Third, so some of those are obviously Audrey's people, so it's like, is Audrey just going to latch it up to be like, yeah, they're already dead? Or is he going to own it and be like, yeah, I did this? Or is that just going to be a secret between him and Melanie? Because she didn't tell anyone else. Is she going to use this against Andre? Like, but I like that it's kind of that thing where it's just kind of like, even when you're trying to be the hero, you still end up doing things that you're not proud of. I just like that being an element to this. Like, the fact of the matter is, once again, I think the show does a good job of almost making it kind of almost a thing of like I said before, you choose Andre because you think they're kind of the good guys in it, but at the end of the day, it's kind of no one's a good guy. It's all about survival. Because there's a whole conversation between Miles and Bennett earlier, because it's like, why did you make it so cold in the train? For him, it's like, it's a perfect balance and stuff like that. It's like, yes, there is this kind of privilege to it, like in the sense that like people up train kind of got more of like the heat and stuff like that, but it's like basically saying that yes, the energy might be infinite, but the parts aren't, and that basically if we don't allocate things in a certain way, like others, yeah, the the energy and all that might, keep going, but it's like it won't do you any good when everything else is breaking around it. So it's just kind of like, it's kind of a give and take that basically things aren't, because Miles is kind of like, oh, things aren't that complicated when it comes down to just being a privileged situation, but Bennett is saying, no, there is a complication to it. It's not just so black and white. There are shades of gray to the whole system. I'm sure, like, for Melanie, she doesn't... Things were kind of black and white because of the way Wilfred set things up. She wanted things to be shades of gray, but she wasn't able to kind of really do the shades of gray like she wanted to, so... Like I said, just this episode brought up a lot of interesting stuff. I'm curious to see where this goes. There was another episode tonight. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to watch it after this. I think it's the season finale, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong. If I am, completely ignore me. But either way, I'm curious to see where all this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.